this is Elton Kane for Finextra at Sibos Sydney 2018, and I'm here with Mark Evans, Managing Director of Global Transaction Banking at ANZ. Mark, thanks for joining us.
Hi Elton, thanks for having me.
Mark, what are the major drivers for change in the banking industry in Asia Pacific?
Well, there's a number of things that are taking place at the moment. There's a lot of change occurring. The first thing I would say is that Asia Pacific isn't one monolithic, business economy. It comprises lots of different geographies, lots of different rules, jurisdictions, and different markets are at different stages of maturity. So I think the thing that I'd say is most prevalent is the curiosity around what is digital transformation going to look like, and in that context, how quickly can we get there? There's the promise of the big dream, so we talk about distributed ledger, we talk about innovation. Then there's the reality of old legacy systems, legislation, regulations that we've got to keep up with. A lot of curiosity around what's changing from a technology perspective. A lot of curiosity both from banks and our corporate customers around what is the impact of these compliance rules and the changes. And then also just a convenience aspect. So many of our treasurers and so many of our staff, around all banks, looking at it and saying, I'm quite used to being digitally savvy and able to do all these things in my personal life. Why can't I do it in my professional life? So trying to bring ease, flexibility and innovation to the corporate environment where it's subject to regulations is quite the emerging challenge that we're all dealing with.
So how are banks responding to this balancing act that's required and the emergence of new kind of fintechs and the digital transformation agenda?
Well, banks are responding differently. Some are taking it that the way we used to do business will be the way that business is done in the future. Others are opening themselves up to partnerships and that greater transparency. I think from our perspective at ANZ, we're taking the view that we can't be all things to all people. We can be a good institutional bank. We can deliver good retail services in our home markets. We can deliver innovation. But we don't necessarily need to manufacture all that ourselves. So working in partnership with a lot of these fintechs and a lot of the innovative thinking that they bring to the table is something that we really want to do. Our customers are asking us to do that, so we sort of need to do it. Transparency is really critical in terms of banking, whether it's fees, system stability, all of those sorts of things are, things that the banks as regulated entities need to provide. And so we've got to respond, and I think the best way to do that is collaborating with the broader members in the broader digital economy.
Okay, looking specifically at trade finance within transaction banking, how are the emerging technologies affecting change there?
Well, they're not affecting change as quickly as I would like, but they're changing the way in which we think. So if you look at, firstly, the opportunity is significant. However, people underestimate how complex the world of trade finance is, dealing in several hundred countries around the world, different legislations, and trade finance touches on so many different industries. There's customs, there's insurance, there's the whole logistics piece. Finance is just one component of it. So at this point, what we're seeing is that digitisation is being applied within certain operations areas to generate efficiencies and to increase transparency. Certainly from our perspective, some of the automation that we've brought into our trade finance operations, which is still very paper-based, but some of the digitisation we've been able to bring in has improved customer turnaround times by 40%. That's great. What we really then need to do is complement that with what regulators are doing in terms of single window and what other industries are doing. So it's about timing it at so that it moves in pace with what our customers are doing and what the regulatory environment allows us to do.
Mark, thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much.
And thank you for watching.